Right, the last thing we need to do before we can use this template to create the other pages is just rearrange some of these things, format the cells, and you make use of the square, the space that I have at the bottom. Now you may not actually have this spot, so you don't necessarily have to do this. However, since there is a separate mark for accessibility, here's another way of actually doing that, is by providing other alternative ways to navigate around the website. So yes, we have this, and yes, it's easy to read and easy to see, the contrast is good, there's a large size, but just in case, some people might prefer to have simple font at the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've clicked down here at the bottom. Notice how the cursors here at the top, and these cells are on the top left hand side of each cell. Easiest way to do that is just to select the areas that you want, and make sure here at the bottom where it says hors, which is short for horizontal, and vert, which is short for vertical, you click left on the top one, and then this one says top. So therefore, when you click inside, whatever you type in or whatever you insert in terms of multimedia and any other assets, they will find themselves starting from that position. Down here, I want this to be in the middle, so I'm going to choose center and middle, and I'm going to type in the words home page and music page, and the last one is DJ page. And then we want to change this to have a specific color scheme. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to zoom out a little bit, just because I want to steal the color from here, and I want to be able to see it. I think 60 might be enough, 66, there we go. And inside this, I'm going to change the background to that color there. There we go. And I'm going to select this area here and change the font to an Arial. Keep it simple. I'm going to change this, call it a footer, because that's what that area is basically known as, and press OK. And I'm going to change this to a white as well, so make sure that the font is also white. And if I click away, you'll see it's a little hard to see there, but if I zoom back into the normal space, there it is. The font, however, isn't the best, so I'm going to change the font size to an 18, I think might be good, and just double check that the page hasn't gone too far below, which it seems like it has, so I'm going to drag these up again. So what I'm going to have to do is, if you look here, let's test this out. Chrome, say yes, and when that opens up, we can test this to see if it still fits in one page. Oh, it seems to be okay, so they're fine. Notice how there's no links yet, and these here, although they are interactive and they look pretty nice and professional, then when I click it, nothing happens, and that's going to be done after we've created the pages from this template itself. So the next thing you need to do is basically format these cells here in the middle, and it says in the exam paper that we need to have suitable titles on each page, so we need to have a decent spot for that. So this is something a bit of an oversight from my end. Now you could, if you wanted to, just type it in on each page there, and that would suffice, but it won't look as nice or as professional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically insert or split this cell here, or insert a row actually just above it, there it is, drag that up just to a nice small size, merge them in together, so right click, table, merge, and I'm going to change this as well. So I'm going to have this centered and top, yep. I'm going to have this as an Arial as well, but I'm going to put this as a title, press OK. Okay, let's change it to something else. Maybe call it header, or page title. Actually, let's call it page title, and hopefully that's not been used already. There we go. Make it bold, and let's change the color as well. So let's use this color. So that's blank at the moment, but when you click inside, you'll see that bold shows up, that shows up, and so on and so forth. But the size, let's choose a decent size. Let's do an 18 for that. All these areas here should be a small size text. So let's just go inside. Yeah, let's do this as an Arial as well. Nope, cancel. We'll make sure you click it properly. There we go, Arial. I'm going to call this main body for now. Press OK. We don't need to be bold, but we do want to be a smaller size, so I'm going to say 12 for now. And the font should be, I'm going to make it a black. Right, so if I go in here now and choose main body, it transfers all those details across. So in here, click there, main body, there, again, and all the way down. Main body, there we go. Now I'm going to test this again, make sure that everything is in the correct places and that I don't still need to, that there's no scrolling. And you can see that there's been a small change because I've added that in and I dragged it up, it's made this smaller. So I need to drag this back down again to the correct space. And this is why testing and checking it every so often is very, very useful. So I'm going to drag this down and click, if you remember from the very first video, click on the edge, get the black box instead and drag down. Now we want 768, so that's 700 there, 750, 55, 60, 65, and it's about there. And that hopefully should do it. And if we just test it again, make sure it is perfect. F11. Oh, it's still not quite there. So let's do it again. Go back down. 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. Yeah, that is right. Okay, so perhaps I should move it a little bit more. 55, 60, 65, 70. So just underneath that. There we go. And we're going to save this. Okay, it doesn't look like much has changed. Let's try that again. No, that's too much, so I'm going to drag that back up. Now, like I said, don't be afraid to mess around with this until you're absolutely certain you're happy with it. So that's 60, 65, and that's where I want it, right there. And in case you didn't see where I was I'm looking here next to the ruler, on the ruler itself, to make sure I've got the right numbers. So Chrome. Now, time spent on here will make sure that the consistency is right in every other page. Okay, that will have to do. I'm not sure why it's not filling that area there, but the main thing is that it's inside this area here, so that it's not requiring any scrolling once it's on full page view. Now, if for whatever reason it didn't show properly here, it's fine, because the examiner will look here and ask themselves if you are inside the numbers that they have provided. So which is 768, that's 750, and that's inside that number. And that's it. So the next video will be about how we basically use this template and start filling it in with the correct information.